最初にですね、ちょっと皆さんにすいません、残念なニュースをお伝えしなければなりません。
So we are about to get started, and I'm sure many of you kind of expected perhaps a trailer would play at the very beginning of our broadcast, but there's one important, an unfortunate news that we will need to share today.
理由はちょっと後ほど説明させていただきますが、11月23日発売予定の今日月のフィナーレですが、申し訳ございません。間に合いませんでした。すいません。
So we will explain the reasonings later, but this is to sincerely apologize that the Endwalker expansion that was planned for November 23rd, I'm afraid will not make it in time for that release timing, so we sincerely apologize.
まあちょっと結論からお話しさせていただきますが、すいません、2週間延期をさせてください。
So to make a long story short, we want to seek your forgiveness that we will be delaying the release of the expansion pack by 2 weeks.
正式な発売日をですね、12月7日とさせていただいて、アーリーアクセスのスタートをですね、11月19日予定だったのを12月3日とすいません、させてください。
And so the release date will now be shifted to December the 7th, and early access, which was originally planned for November 19th. I'm terribly sorry, but this will also be shifted to December the 3rd. Again, we apologize.
まあ理由としては、一言で言うとすいません、僕のわがままです。
And the reason behind that, and if I were to sum it up in just a few words, is I'm sorry again, but this is a very selfish reason.
まあインタビューでもちょっとお伝えしてた通り、今回のその行月のフィナーレは、まあ過去最大のもう拡張なのは本当に、作ってる自分らがよくわかるんですけど、間違いなく、尋常じゃないボリュームを、なんとか作ってきて、開発チームのみんなもものすごい努力で、正直物量に関しては押し込めてます。それだけで言えば予定通り出せる状態でした。
And I touched upon this during some of the interviews, but Endwalker is definitely going to be one of the largest expansions that we have worked on. And coming from the team and kind of experiencing firsthand the production of this expansion, we know there's a lot of stuff that's going into this expansion. And in terms of like all of the content that we've stuffed in there, those were all moving according to plan.
ただですね、それと同時に今回、9番から11年かけてやってきたハイデリン・ゾディアーク編という一つ目の大きなサーガのラストということで、とにかく皆さんに伏線の回収とかをとにかく誤解のないように取り違いがないようにっていうので、徹底してクオリティ調整をやってきて、本当に僕にしかわからないと思うんですけど、どうしてもこのタイミングでやりきっておきたいっていう部分があってですね、ひたすらごめんなさい。ひたすらすいません、調整をかけてたらですね、最後のマスター QA の期間をちょっと食い潰してしまうっていう状態になりました。
But at the same time, this is a saga that we have been working on since the original Final Fantasy XIV, so for about 11 years now. And this is the sort of last part of the Heidelin Zodiac saga. And there are so many foreshadowing and lore that had been established that we wanted to make sure that we're tying up all the loose ends so that there are no misunderstanding, misinterpretation. I was very particular about making sure that these have been thoroughly examined, and these might be things so subtle that only I am aware of these, but I really wanted to make sure that we were very thorough about this, and I just continued with making these adjustments and reviewing and revising and refining that it ate into some of the master QA time.
正直マスターのスケジュールで言えばほんの数営業日の差だったんですけど、やっぱり今回、皆さんもお気づきの通り、史上最大の混雑が予想される状態で、やっぱりマスター QA の期間っていうのは安定性に非常に大きく関わるところなので、これを強引な縮め方をしてでも無理に出すこの2週間っていうのが本当にいいことなのかっていうのを、すごい悩んだんですけど、すいません、先週の金曜日です決断したのも本当遅くてすいません。
And it was just a matter of a few business days in terms of our schedule for Master QA. But considering, and I'm sure everybody is aware, with congestion and the access that we are experiencing and just the influx of people, we wanted to take the appropriate time for Master QA because it does relate to the stability of our build. And when trying to evaluate, is this appropriate to release and enforce it, I was very much torn on making that decision, but I had to draw the line somewhere, and I really apologize. This is something that we've kind of finalized and made the decision as of last Friday, so it is very sudden.
ここまで11年からプロデューサーとディレクターをやってきて、常々こう一人でやってるので折り合いをつけてきたんですけど、ちょっと1回目の集大成ってことがあって、自分の中でもどうしても折り合いがつかなくて、ちょっとディレクターのわがままをすいません、抑えきれない状態になってしまいました。すいません。
And being producer and director over the course of 11 years, I myself was the producer and director, so in a lot of cases, I was able to just deal with it and move on. But considering this is our first culmination, a finale of sorts, I really couldn't compromise. And just the director in me really wanted to push this thought. So again, I'm sorry.
以前ヘブンズワードの時かな、春ですと言って初夏になったことはあったんですけど、自分自身14だけじゃなくてキャリア全体通じても発売日を発表してから伸ばすっていうことをしたことがなかったので本当すみません。
And I remember when we did Heaven's Word, we mentioned the release time was going to be springtime, but it ended up being early summer. But this is, gosh, the first time, and not just with 14, but just throughout my entire career, that we had announced a release date and had to delay it. So again, I feel really bad about this.
ちょっとすみません。
はい。少々時間いただきます。
いや、皆さんがね、有給取ったりもうねしてくれてるのも分かってたんで、パッチをもう分割して出そうかとか、思い切ってねカットしようかっていうのも考えたんですけど、 もともとねそういう風に作られてるわけじゃないので、やっぱり品質をすいません、今回はちょっと優先させてください。すいません。
And I understand some of you had taken days off for this, and I know that people have been preparing for this, and we tried to think if there was any way to do this, like, can we split it up into patches and release it at separate timings, or do we just make a bold step and cut some of the elements? But that's not how our content is made, fortunately. And so this time we really wanted to prioritize bringing you the best quality. So again, I'm really sorry it came to this.
いや、2週間で足りんのかっていうお声もちょっとねこっち側にコメントがあるんで、コメントもすいません拝見してるんですけど、大丈夫です。もうほぼほぼ終わってるので、あとは本当に QA を最後徹底していければそれに関しては大丈夫なので、まあ本当はね1周でもっていう選択肢があったぐらいなんですけど、まあ、しっかり安定性取りたいっていうのと、あとやっぱり後ろに続くパッチのスケジュールっていうところに対してサポートもねしっかりさせていただきたいので、まあ、そう考えるとすいません2週間っていう方が安全だというふうに判断させていただきました。
And I noticed there were some comments saying that is 2 weeks going to be enough? And thank you for those comments. From that standpoint, we're okay. It's just a matter of doing thorough QA at this point, and we should be fine. There were talks about do we take 2 weeks of QA or 1 week of QA? But again, we wanted to make sure that we are testing for stability. And plus, we also need to have support for the patch schedule following the expansion. So yeah, we decided that 2 weeks would be our safe bet.
いや自分でもここまでなんだろう作っててなんか思ってた以上になんか思い入れが自分で思ってた以上にすごかったんだなと思って、まあ特に9番から遊んでくださってるねレガシーの方たちにこう9番のねを含めての今回、まあ、答え合わせだったりするので、もうちょっとこだわりすぎかなと自分でも思うんですけど、次にね14がさらにこう進んでいくためにもどうしても一回やりきっておきたかったので、すいません、よろしくお願いします。
And I didn't even realize that I had put so much of myself in there, and just my emotions have kind of grown attached to this expansion, and it was very unexpected that I would feel so much about this. But I think players, especially those who've been with us since the original, our legacy players, can understand. But this is not just a finale, but it's looking at the entire story saga and kind of looking at the different loose ends and seeing those come to a conclusion. So I know I may have been a little too nitpicky or very particular about all of what's going into this expansion, but considering we're going to move on and continue the story after we have made a sort of milestone with this saga, I think I needed to make sure that we are giving it our all and we're doing all that we can for this expansion.
まあそうですね、コメントにもありますけど、とにかく延期の判断が遅い、報告が遅いっていうのは本当おっしゃる通りだと思います。まあ本当決断したのが先週の金曜日で、社内で同じ取締役の三宅さんにも報告しに行ったら、いいんだよと、あなたがここまでやってきたタイトルだからいいんだけど、判断遅えよって怒られました。おっしゃる通りだと思います。
And I'm seeing in the comments, people are saying that, hey, that's really late in terms of when you made the decision about delaying the release. And I understand. I totally understand. We made this decision last Friday, and I consulted the board of directors, and one of the board members, Mr. Miyake, had mentioned, sure, this works because it's a game you're working on, but this is way too late in terms of making a decision. So I understand, and I agree that it is a very late decision.
ちょっとここまで積み上げてきた信頼性っていうところもね、今回これでちょっと失う部分あるかなとは思うんですけど、そこに関しては今までもそうだったように、6.0 の内容とね、それから6.1 以降、6.1 の開発ももう結構進んでるので、それらをまたアップデートしながら一歩ずつ取り戻していけるように頑張ろうと思いますので、すいません、よろしくお願いします。
And I'm sure this kind of breaks some of the trust that we have built with you over the course of this game. And I own up to it. I understand that people might feel very betrayed, but just like we did with our previous content, we will continue to strive hard with not only 6.0 Endwalker, but with content beyond that for 6.1 and onward. We are progressing with the production of 6.1, and so we're hoping that with these updates we can earn your trust again, and so your continued support is greatly appreciated.